I was telling you earlier, a lot of my expectations for love came from fucking Disney movies. And let me tell you, Little Mermaid, what the fuck? She didn't even speak to him. They didn't even talk. Like, how the hell are you in love with him? He's like some dude on a boat and you're like, ah. Like, you want to give up everything in your life for this dude on a boat that you don't know? Like, what the fuck?
The first question is, what is love to you?
Ooh. So, I think honestly, this is me 30 plus talking now. Love to me is a personal journey that you embark on and then you share that with somebody. I think too often we think love is finding the right person, love is a completion of it. Love is you. You are love. You learn how to be happy and love yourself, and then you find somebody else like that and y'all come together and create a different type of experience, but love is to be shared, not found.
First question, what is love to you?
Oh, can we start over? No. Okay. So number one, love is the greatest energy of all, right? Love is a gift and a curse. It's both. There's a dichotomy with love. Love is what makes us human, what makes us allow us to have the relationships and allows us to truly feel, I think, life and what it has to offer. Yeah, and that's in a like overall sense. Love in the sense of between two people. I think it's the fabric that brings and hold people together and allow them to become one.
Love to me has many definitions. I think that you can't really define it in a whole spectrum. It depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about love for oneself? Do you talk about love for your mom? Because that's different than the love you have for your boyfriend or your husband or your wife, you know? Or do you need a love of the universe or a love for God? I think that that's very different. I think if you look at love as a whole, it's patient. I think there's something about patience being intertwined in love that's really beautiful. I think everyone thinks it's so messy and destructive and heartbreaking, and it's like, well, yes, it can be that, but in the best of ways, not the worst of ways.
Romantic love to me is finding that person where you feel as if you belong. Not that you're just taking up space, not just someone that you're fucking, but someone that is your actual lover and friend. That's what it means to me. That I can just be as open and honest as I can. Maybe, yeah, we can agree to disagree. Because I've never really understood how these people like fight, then break up, and get back together. They fight, they break up, they get back together. I'm like, that's just way too much work. Babe, let's agree to disagree. Let's cool off. And then let's move on. Let's not stay in that bad moment.
Yeah.
When you're deeply infatuated with a person, things become a little more potent, you know, so the music sounds better, everything feels like almost like a rush of dopamine, if you will, and like you kind of feel high. You're deeply infatuated with this person. It's like a Rubik's Cube that finally matched together in so many parts and pieces, and it's nostalgic. It feels psychedelic, like just everything is thicker. The air is thicker, your emotions are thicker. And it's not. It somehow goes beyond, you know, even a sexual experience. You know, so that's how I would explain.
Being so young, it's kind of like you don't really know what love is. You can't really figure it out until you really know. And from just experience, you know, of what I've known and what I've felt, love is someone that cares about you, someone that's willing to go out of their way to do anything for you. They don't care about what other people say about your relationship. They're going to put you before anything. They should make you a priority, if anything. They should never make you feel like, I love you sometimes. You should want to be loved all the time. You should want to feel cared about all the time. And with women in general, it's a lot of women out here who doesn't know what the feeling of love is simply because of an absent father. That's who your first love is, your dad. So if you don't know how it feels to be loved by your father, you're not going to know how it feels to be loved by a man. In general.
Love is good, love is positive, but if you're in fear of losing it, then that's when it can get reckless. You know, a lot of people fear that love won't love them back, and it'll make them do crazy things, you know. So a lot of people want love to be matched with love, but that's not always the case. So that's when it can backfire and I guess be cruel, but it's not love that's being cruel, it's just the fear of that person being without it that can be an enemy to love, you know. But it's not love itself. Love is just what it is, you know.
When I was 20, I met somebody and they were from out of town. I met them here in Houston. It's a really bad story. I was actually talking to their friend, but I threw a party and their friend ignored me and they stayed and they left their friend there. So we started talking and it sparked up this like whirlwind romance, like the calling on the phone every day. And I hate to talk on the phone. Like I don't like it at all. But it started the calling on the phone every day. It started the texting like good morning, and it was the first time I really felt like someone engaged with me in a sense that they're really pursuing me. And then when it was my 21st birthday, I drove to see them and they took me to Austin and like partied the night away. And you just got swept up in this like whirlwind romance, and it was so awesome. And then in October, we went to Mexico, and it was really good. We went to Mexico City. It was the first time I've ever traveled, and so I got caught up in this like, I'm traveling with them, I'm meeting their family, I'm meeting their friends, I'm doing all this stuff, and it was really good until it wasn't.
My relationship in college, I was with the same guy basically all through college, and I thought it was love in the beginning. He was much older than I was, until I outgrew him and I wanted to leave the relationship. And I stayed in that relationship for 2.5 years because he said if I left, he would kill himself. So that was emotional abuse. At the time, I didn't realize. I was just younger. I was in nursing, so it was in me to want to help that person. And I realized that it was being used against me to be in a situation I didn't really want to be in. I felt trapped for a long time.
Yeah, man. I met this lady. I went against because love knows no bounds, right? And it's limitless. And that's what I told myself. Anyway, she was much younger than me, and I was like, yeah. And normally not even normally, I just don't date too far younger than me. Like, a couple of years, cool, but she was 7 years younger than me. And I was like, okay, well, let's give it a try, because she was so wise and so beautiful. Like, so beautiful. And so smart and loving and caring that I fell for this person. Like, I'm talking about jumped off the cliff, whatever you need. Here's my heart, it's yours. Like, it's just all now. We just need to set the wedding date. I'll give it a little time so I don't look crazy, but like, you're the one. Like, you are the one.
It was a guy that I met when I was around the age of 18. And at that point, I kind of did not want to be alone. I was just like a graduate of high school. Like, all my friends had boyfriends, and I kind of didn't like the fact of being alone. I didn't like being single. I didn't like feeling like, okay, I'm the outcast, I'm the third wheel. So I felt like, okay, let me date this guy. And the whole time I'm thinking that I really like him and I really love him, and I really don't, because like it was so easy for me to break up with him, and it was kind of like scary to me. I was like, okay, that's when it dawned on me, I need to learn how to be by myself.
Man, for whatever reason, and I want to be clear in saying, like, the reason we didn't work out, I feel like was my fault. But some of the things that I started to, because I loved her so much, I avoided so many things, and I didn't call out so many things. But not only the age difference, because I think you can get away with dating someone 7 years, the lack of exposure or the lack of understanding that I've been able to gather through life that she had yet to gain made it hard for us to do the dance. So it felt like I was constantly pulling one way and she was constantly asking me to understand something else. And I was like, well, I'm just not there in my life. But I allowed it to go on, though. I was like, well, I'm talking about I love this woman. I know I love this woman. Like, right now, I would do anything for her except be with her, because I love her that much that I won't be with you, because I know it's not what was meant to be.
We have to agree to disagree. I remember I went out with this one man, and he asked me how did I feel about Trump. And I said, well, he's a vile and ludicrous man. and an embarrassment to humanity. What do you think about Trump? Well, I think he's really trying to help us. I'm like, you know what, dude, you just lost all pussy points.
The bar back then was set at the floor, and so now I've set the bar at, like, the stars. You know, you start to understand, like, I won't accept less than I know I'm worthy of.
I realized his mental health wasn't my responsibility. I couldn't be the only thing that kept him alive. And I realized it was being used as a way to keep me there, because every time I'd say I would go, he would send crazy pictures of like him holding a gun or something crazy like that. And I was like, I can't be responsible for your life. That has to be on you. And I just left, blocked him, and then moved on. And it always haunted me because I never knew. For months I didn't know what happened, but I didn't allow myself to wonder, because for the longest I was sending him resources for him to get help. He didn't want that. So you don't want help, you want me.
So from that moment on, and when I found out Thanksgiving Day, which was horrible in front of my whole entire family. And the crazy thing about it, I didn't cry. And I think my body was mentally prepared for something like this, because for me to not even break down and cry not once, that's how I knew I was over it, and my body was like, it's not even worth it to be even emotionally available for him to even get the satisfaction that he broke me.
Remember that you are worthy. Recognize the red flags. Don't try and make the relationship what you want it to be. Recognize it for what it is. Don't think he's going to change his mind and realize that I'm the one. If you're just a booty call, you're just a booty call. And if you're okay with that, fine. But don't try and turn the booty call into something more stable. Just recognize the relationship for what it is.
Love is the greatest energy if used properly. However, you know, we're humans and we mess stuff up.
Challenge the definitions of love and what we've been told love is supposed to be. Figure out what it means to you. Turn off the phones, turn off the movies. What does it mean to you? Dissect it, put love in the hot seat and dissect it. That's what I want.